Hey, my friends, what is good? Derek here from Bomb Socks with another week of Bomb Bites, where we feast upon the words of Christ, and as always, we do it one bite at a time. So, after an amazing Easter week this last week, we're back in the Doctrine and Covenants, and we're studying the wonderful sections of sections 37 to 40, and we've got some great videos from our Bomb Bites video collection to help you appreciate, to learn from, and enjoy these sections just a little bit more. And if you haven't already, you got to go check out our amazingly comfortable gospel-themed socks at bombsocks.com. Godspeed, friends, and enjoy the video. So in section 37 of the Doctrine and Covenants, there's an interesting commandment that the Lord gives to the saints. He says, go to the Ohio. And so as you're thinking, it's like, okay, why are they going to Ohio? They've tried to establish things back in New York. So let me back up a little bit and introduce you to a gentleman by the name of Sidney Rigdon. I know many of you have heard of him. Sidney Rigdon was a Campbellite minister who lived in Ohio. And so as these early missionaries that we talked about yesterday, like Parley Pratt yesterday, Parley and these other missionaries were going back to go on a mission to the Lamanites that did not baptize really any Lamanites. And so with Sidney, now Sidney was a friend of Parley Pratt's. And as Parley's going back to Ohio, as they're heading up to that Missouri area, Parley's like, you know what, let me stop by and see my friend Sidney. He had been part of Sidney's congregation, and he's like, you know what, I wonder if he'd be interested in our message. So Sidney, like I said, he was a prominent minister in the area. He presided over a group of seekers. These were people seeking to return to a New Testament Christianity. Like I said, he's a close friend and was a spiritual advisor to Parley. So this is why Parley had some interest in sharing the message with Sidney. So in Saints, I want to take you to chapter 9. Chapter 9 in Saints, and there's kind of a cool little story here that helps you understand why the need to go back to Ohio. So in Saints, it says, in the fall, 38-year-old Sidney Rigdon listened politely as Parley Pratt and his three companions testified of a new work of Scripture, the Book of Mormon. But Sidney was not interested. For years, he'd exhorted people in and around the village of Kirtland, Ohio, this is where Kirtland comes into play, to read the Bible and return to the principles of the New Testament church, like I'd said earlier. The Bible had always guided his life, he told the missionaries, and it was enough. You brought the truth to me, Parley reminded Sidney, and now I ask you as a friend to read this for my sake. You must not argue with me on the subject, Sidney insisted, but I will read your book and see what claim it has upon my faith. Parley asked Sidney if they could preach to his congregation. Although he was skeptical of their message, Sidney gave them permission. After the missionaries left, Sidney read parts of the book and found that he could not dismiss it. By the time Parley and Oliver preached to his congregation, he had no desire to warn anybody against the book. When he rose and spoke at the end of the meeting, he quoted the Bible. Prove all things, he said, and hold fast to that which is good. But Sidney remained uncertain of what to do. Accepting the Book of Mormon would mean losing his employment as a pastor. He had a good congregation. They provided for him and his wife Phoebe and their 6 children with a comfortable life. Some people in the congregation were even building a home for them. Could he really ask his family to walk away from the comfort they enjoyed? Sidney prayed until a sense of peace rested over him. He knew the Book of Mormon was true. Flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto me, he exclaimed, but my Father which is in heaven. Sidney shared his feelings with Phoebe. My dear, he said, you have once followed me into poverty. Are you again willing to do the same? I have counted the cost, she replied. It is my desire to do the will of God, come life or come death, which is the title of this chapter in Saints. So that gives you where that comes from. So the Rigdons joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they were baptized. And the cool thing is, in about 3 weeks, 127 members of Sidney's congregation joined with them. So you can see why at this point you've got so many saints living over here in New York area, but now the Lord is like, look, you may want to go over to Ohio. And so here's where you start seeing the migration to Kirtland, Ohio, because at this point, you start getting more members of the church in Ohio than there are back in New York. And so that's why the Lord gave them commandment. I want you to go to the Ohio. Now, we'll talk more about why going to Ohio, which is kind of fun to say, why they're going to Ohio tomorrow as we continue reading in section 37. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and thanks for sharing these messages. We appreciate that you do that. If you like what you see, please click the like button. It helps get that message out there more. And again, go check out our socks if you haven't already at bombsocks.com. Godspeed, friends. Have a great day, and we'll see you. Bye-bye.